Hello, this is Dennis Caution with Field Accounting. I'm a regional accountant with BA Bon Appetit. We're going to do a two-part webinar today. One is going to be on depository cash and credit card training. The other one's going to be on Concur and P-card posting, and that will immediately follow this one. On the agenda for cash and credit card, we're going to go over the deposit policy, depository cash entry in your daily cash report, the cash over short on your daily cash report, and credit card entry on your daily cash report, and cash and credit card write-off file examples. Deposit policy is that your cash receipts should be that are accepted as cash sales in the normal course of business are deposited daily, unless you use a armored car service, and then it depends on how much your average receipts are. They should be deposited on a daily basis. This will keep you off of the deposit lag report. The armored car requirements is if you're set up and you have an assigned branch which is greater than 5 miles or 20 minutes away from your unit, and the average daily deposit is greater than 5,000, and your bank branch is in a high crime area. The same thing applies for change orders, and you can read that. The frequency of deposits is daily if you're making a deposit at your local bank branch, no matter how much the average daily deposit is. It's when you're using a armored car, if it's between $0 and $2,000 a day, you're required to deposit that on 3 times a week, and you need approval from your sector controller to do it only 3 times a week. Anything over $2,000 a day, you should make an armored car every day. The deposit lag report, we get this report as field accountants if you're more than 3 business days after the daily cash sales are reported on your daily cash report. The number in the late column is the number of days late, less the 3-day grace period given in bank rec. The number in the age column is the number of days between the transaction date and the date your report is generated. Unless there is a valid approved reason why the unit is depositing late, deposit lag should be investigated. They're often a result of theft caused by floating or rolling deposits, by which an employee steals all or portion of the day's deposits and makes up for the stolen cash from the contents of future deposits to cover the thefts. Depository cash entry. The amount that's on the deposit slip that you're taking to the bank must match the amount that's entered in as depository cash on the daily cash report to the penny. No exceptions. If there's a difference, do not close the module for the daily cash report until it matches. Your credit card entries. The amount on the credit card settlement report should be equal to the amount entered on the daily cash report and should match to the penny. Both of these types of entries for cash and credit cards will eliminate you having write-offs if they match exactly. If you have an AR payment in MyFinance, you have an accounts receivable payment via check should not be applied to in MyFinance. You should send it to the lockbox for your region with a copy of the AR invoice per our stated company policy. If an error is made and you do apply a check to the invoice in MyFinance, that check needs to be deposited at the local bank. That check amount needs to be included on the deposit slip to balance with the daily cash. Your weekly cash report recommend option. Before you close the week on Thursday, review the following. You can find it in Tile 1, Reports, select Weekly Cash, and select Detail. Are all the depository cash days and credit card clearing accounts filled in? Is overshort greater than $10 our recommended dollar amount? Are any days open for the week or missing entries? If any of those things occur, do not close the week yet because you're not in balance. This is an example of a weekly cash report that is ready to close. All the amounts highlighted in the bottom line are very small and insignificant immaterial differences. The weekly cash report that we show here is not ready to close. There is a variance of cash over short of $130 on Monday. That is over the minimum. We're notified of variances of $100 or more for the previous week. The accountants will contact the unit to address and correct any variances. This happens within the current period. If you don't want to be contacted, just make sure your daily cash report is balanced. If you have cater tracks, beginning to end, you transfer your cater tracks information to MyFi. Cater tracks does not speak to MyFi as yet. It will in the future, but not currently. If paid by credit card, you apply the payment to the AR invoice. If paid by check, mail the check to the lockbox with a copy of the invoice attached. Don't apply payment to the invoice. If paid by cash, apply payment including bank deposit. The omission of transferring a cater track sale to MyFi is the major cause of credit card write-offs each period. The memo file is a list of outstanding items that are in jeopardy of write-off in the current period as well as those of the next period. This is an example of what the memo file looks like. If the items are in red in brackets, that means you have actually more funds than you have sales recorded. If they're in black and positive numbers, then you have more sales than you have funds. Scenario time. An outstanding WCR example is on the memo file. It's when you have items that are listed as WCRs, means you need a deposit to match up with that. We need the validated deposit ticket, not just a copy of deposit slip. Sometimes the bank gives you one of these forms of validation. We need a copy of that. If you don't go to the bank yourself, you send it by armored car, we need a copy of the sign log showing where that deposit was given to the armored car. An outstanding funding example is when it shows up as a bank deposit, a credit, and that is an occasion where we have made the deposit, but we have not recorded the sales on the daily cash report to offset it. These are some tips for understanding the outstanding credit card report. Field accounting does not handle credit cards, bank reconciliation does, so you need to go through all this and it'd be helpful to you. I won't read it to you. The write-off file is items that have no resolution after the response due deadline are included, and the write-off entry in blue moved below the line is the cash adjustment to GL 652006. The credit card write-off file is distributed to all DMs, RVPs, and regional controllers. This includes items that have been written off. The cash write-off file is distributed to DMs, RVPs, and regional controllers and field accountants. If you're needing to research a variance, if the deposit is less than what was recorded on the cash report, was a cash payout not recorded? Did we have overstated sales? Was a check for an AR payment sent to the lockbox that was applied in MyFinance? If the deposit is more than what was recorded in the cash report, why research to determine the resolution? Now you have questions regarding your material covered today, contact your accountant and they'll be happy to assist you. Now I'll be turning it over to Jennifer Fano, a regional accountant with BA, to cover Concur.
Hi everybody, this is Jennifer, and I just wanted to share with you this very short presentation on Concur, our new system for P-card postings, and the impact it has on accounting, as well as when these charges are actually downloaded to SAP and MyFinance. So for your out-of-pocket expenses, which includes like mileage reimbursement, things like that, the approved entries are recorded to SAP the following day that they are made. These are reimbursed and check runs go each Wednesday, and each Wednesday that check run will include Thursday, Friday, and Monday's expenses. If you have expenses that are on Tuesday and Wednesday, they will not be reimbursed until the next week's check run on Wednesday. For P-card charges, including all travel charges, the actual entries on all cost centers will post to SAP on Thursdays. The date range for these postings will be the previous Thursday through Wednesday, as long as the charges are approved before 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. These are posted to the cost center in GL as it appears in MyConcur at the time of processing. So whatever that you have in there that's approved at 5 p.m., whatever cost center in GL that it is associated with, that's where it's going to go in SAP and MyFinance. On day 2 of both fiscal and monthly close cycles, there will be additional postings to ensure that P-card charges are included in the proper period, depending on whether you are monthly or fiscal. Here is just a short little schedule. I'm not going to go over this too much in detail, but it will basically show you, per period and week, what the post date would be and the date ranges that would be included with that posting, as long as these charges have been approved, again, by 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Wednesday. P-card postings during the period for fiscal units post on Thursdays and include all approved charges, like I said, from the previous Wednesday through Thursday. Previous Thursday through Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Here is an example. The star is going to represent when the charges are going to post, and then the X's represent the days that posting, will include. P-card posting for fiscal units at the end of the period basically follows the exact same schedule because we end our period on a Thursday, so this Thursday posting is going to include the charges from the previous Thursday through Wednesday. P-card postings for fiscal units at the end of the period also post on fiscal day 2, and these include all approved charges from the previous Thursday through Sunday. So they will post on fiscal day 2, but these will be included in the period that we are closing. After the final P-card postings during close, both fiscal and monthly units resume P-card postings on Thursdays for all approved charges from the previous Thursday through Wednesday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Pretty much the same schedule except for close. The only other thing that I want to note is that there is actually a 2-day lag from the time that you make a charge to when that charge is available to see in Concur. So just keep that in mind. If you've made a P-card charge and you don't see it in there for a day or two, that's perfectly normal for it to get from JP Morgan Chase to the Concur system to be able to be reviewed and approved. I hope you guys find this helpful, and if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us.